Welcome to video 20. Before I start creating the CSS for a shopping cart, I need to make a couple fixes to the things that I did in the last video. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open cart.php. I'm going to change the page class from cart to shopping cart. And with that, I'm also going to change vPublicCart, and I'm going to add a class to the unordered list here, class cart. So that'll help me style this cart section of the page a little bit easier. Another couple things. Here, the subtitle row. I don't know if I misspoke in the last one, but this should be subtotal row. And last change, both of these buttons within the button row, I'm going to change it to buttons row because there are multiple buttons within this row. Also, I want to make sure that both of these buttons use the button alt style. There we go. So that's enough changes for now. Just a couple minor things that'll help when I'm adding CSS in place. So I'm going to open up my style.css file. And down here near the bottom, right above the button styles, I'm going to add a new section. And this section is going to be for alert styles. And I'm adding it here because I figure you might end up using alerts in multiple places in your app. The only place I'm using it in this example is on the shopping cart page, but you might use it in other places. So I wanted to build in the style for you and for you to be able to add on to it easily. So alerts, and this is the unordered list that contains all the individual alerts, and I'm simply going to say list style none, padding 0, margin 0. And then within alerts, I'm going to add li.success. And if you happen to remember, if we open up my mtemplate file, we have 3 different alert types. We have success, alert, and error. And you could potentially have styles for each of those. In my particular example, I only use the success style, so that's all I'm going to be styling, but you can also do something similar for those other 2 alert options. So here I'm going to add padding 10 pixels. I'm going to add a border of 1 pixel solid. It can be AFD 4A6. I know this is sort of chosen arbitrarily. It's simply a shade of green. And then a background of CEE CC7. Again, another light shade of green. So I'm going to save that, and that'll put our alert styles into place. Then I'm going to go up the page a little bit, and I'm going to add styles specific to the cart page. So let me scroll up, make sure you can see this. So next thing on our list, so we're going to be able to target our shopping cart page specifically by using the class shopping cart. So I'll be using that extensively throughout this section. And first thing that I want to style is all the forms on the page. And I want to make sure that they're cleared properly, clear both. And I want to make sure that overflow is hidden. And these are both styles to make sure that the items within these forms are enclosed properly, and that all the forms have the heights that we expect them to have. Next up is going to be shopping cart.cart. This is our unordered list. So padding 0, margin 0, and list style none. And then shopping cart, cart li, and this is going to have overflow hidden because each of the columns that are within each cart row are going to be floated, so we want to make sure the list item contains those elements correctly. And we're going to have a padding of 10 pixels. And after that, shopping cart cart li.alt. I'm not sure if you remember from the sample video right at the beginning of this course where I showed off the completed project. If you have multiple items in our cart, we're going to alternate each row. It's going to have a slightly different background color. So that's what I'm using this class for. So I'm going to set background to EEE, just a light gray, helps differentiate the rows from each other. Then within this, I want to style each of the individual columns within my cart. So I'm going to style col 1, and this one's going to be floated left. Going to have a width of 472 pixels, a padding top of 5 pixels. Then let's style column 2. This one's going to be floated left. It's going to have a width of 100 pixels. And because column 2 is going to contain the little text input that allows us to change the number of that particular item in the cart, I'm going to style that input. So shopping cart col 2 input. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a set width. So it's going to be 40 pixels. Then let's style column 3. This one we're going to float left. We're going to have a width of 100 pixels. And we're going to have a padding top of 5 pixels. And lastly, column 4. And this one we're going to float to the right. We're going to have a width of 100 pixels, a font weight of bold, and a padding top of 5 pixels. And just as a quick thing to note, you'll notice that all of our columns, with the exception of column 2, have this padding top of 5 pixels. And that's simply to adjust for the fact that column 2 is going to have an input in it, which has a little bit more height, so it helps things align a little bit better. So let me save this, and let's take a quick glance, see where we are. There we go. So things are starting to look a little bit better. We have items in rows. Our buttons are looking the way they should, so headed in the right direction. Now we need to style a couple other different types of rows. So shopping cart header row. And this is going to have font weight of bold, a color of 666, sort of a medium gray, border bottom of 1 pixel solid EEE, a padding bottom of 8 pixels, and a margin bottom of 20 pixels. So this will help style the header row. In this case, it's these particular items here. Make sure they line up correctly. So within that, we need to style the individual columns. So shopping cart header row, col 1. I'm just going to copy this line and paste it in place. So we're going to do it up through, whoopsie, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we want to make sure that all of these columns get a padding top, whoopsie, padding top of 0. So if we save that and take a look, There we go, we have a much nicer styled headers. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to style the total row. So shopping cart total row. I'm going to give this a padding of 4 pixels on the top and bottom and 10 pixels left and right. And we're going to style the individual columns within that. So total row, col 1. We're going to set it to width 702 pixels, text align of right, font weight of bold, font size of 16 pixels, and a padding top of 0. And the same thing but for the second column, so shopping cart total row dot col 2. And this one we're going to float right. I'm going to give it a width of 100 pixels, font size of 16 pixels, and a font weight bold. So let's preview this, see where we are. There we go. So again, headed in the right direction. Looks like I'll have one more video where I finish off the CSS.